welcome to Culture on I-24 News. I'm Oded Grober. Thanks for joining me. Today on our program, we'll talk to a photographer capturing Israel's beachgoers. We'll hear how musician Gilberto Gil responded to the BDS movement. And we'll take a look at some intriguing TV shows. Gidi Boaz is an Israeli photographer. For the past decade, Boaz has been photographing Israel's beaches and its beachgoers. His work is now being displayed in the exhibition 1.5 centimeter of beach for every person at the Givat Chaim Ichud Art Gallery. I'm very happy to have him here in the studio. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
So, what drew you to the beach other than, you know, the sun, the sand, the water?
I think the story begins. I lived overseas for about 20 years, and what drew me back to Israel was the beach. So I sort of feel like my soul and my heart is in the beach. And then I find myself walking almost daily up and down the coastline, photographing, documenting sometimes just walk around with my dog. But basically the culture and the way that Israelis relate to the beach is something that I wanted to focus on when I started this body of work. I thought that as an anthropological study, I'm onto something. How does the coastline divided depending on the groups that come and the hours of the day that people are coming?
Cultural background?
Cultural background, ethnic backgrounds, age and ageism along the beach, etc. This image here is actually the one that caught my eye and that I'm onto something.
Yeah. Where did you take it?
I took it in Ashdod, and it was one of two images that sort of started the whole series. I think that over the years I paid attention also to the way that the beaches are destroyed, whether it's because of real estate or the municipalities, where there are fences and signs, and there's more destruction sometimes than there is development. The way that Israelis are treating the coastline, the beach, was something that is very interesting. And then a curator by the name Ruti Sagi took note of the work, and together we started to compile the images and bring it to an exhibition, which, as you said, is in Givat Chaim.
Now, I'm not surprised that you needed some help with that, because, as you said, it's a decade of photography that you had to cut down to one exhibition. How does that work?
It's a lot.
You need another decade.
First of all, the project is not finished yet. I can keep on shooting and shooting. The process took us almost a year. Wow. And once that we thought that we arrived and finalized what goes into the show, well, few newer images popped up, or I dug through an older hard disk and found more images. So it was an ever-changing process. We ended up with many more images in one exhibit that I expected or I wanted to show, but I think the quantity of the imagery helps in delivering the message.
Right. Now, when you have so many photographs taken over such a long time, you can see actual changes that took place. I mean, how the beaches themselves changed over the years, right?
Absolutely. You see, first of all, I live in Tel Aviv, so you see how the promenade in Tel Aviv is going under the construction and renovation, etc. And
growing each time.
Growing, and I actually, and that may not be politically correct, but the architect who took part in designing the new promenade was at the exhibit opening, and I exchanged a few words with her, complimenting her, because I think that the work that they did there is the right step forward, the right approach.
Right.
And then when you read a little bit, all the municipalities that are along the coastline have some grand plans in development and building hotel rooms and attracting tourism and so on and so forth, thinking that this is the way of the future. I would slow down and really take care of the beach before we develop more infrastructure.
Yeah, it's a very political issue. I mean, nowadays people are fighting over every centimeter, and you were certainly referring to that also in the title of the exhibition. Where'd you take that from, 1.5 centimeters?
Ruti Sagir, the curator, came up with the title, and I think while she was studying the topic, she came across the statistics, and we found it to be suitable for the show.
Yeah. Did you find something that you see as particular to Israel and to Israelis and their relationship with the beach?
I think one of the things, when I walk up and down the beach, I often find emotionally that I'm either very critical or sometimes envious of what's going on the beach. And I think the family, the brotherhood, the attitude of it's okay to be together, ordinary people just piling up sometimes. The sport.
Sometimes it really is like 1.5 centimeters.
Absolutely, absolutely. And people are still finding a way to have fun with the limited space that they have. People that are doing sport on the beach, people that wake up early in the morning and go down to exercise. I don't know if it's typical Israeli, but there is definitely a beating heart on the beach of a vibrant society.
Last question: the thesis that you started the project with, what did you find? Did you find that there is this divide? And
no. Except of maybe in Tel Aviv, where the beaches are sort of divided by population, and that's pretty interesting. Across the country, it's all kind of mixed up. It's more divided by the time of the day than it is divided by the beaches.
So at least the beaches are still democratic.
They are.
Gidi, thanks so much. It's beautiful work, and best of luck.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dad.
Now, for the past several years, the BDS movement is trying to encourage a cultural and economic boycott of Israel. Artists planning to perform in the country are pressured to cancel their shows, but when the movement called on Brazilian music legends Gilberto Gil and Caetano Veloso to cancel, it created a clash with one of the movement's main figures, Roger Waters. David Gumbin has more.
Shimon Peres and the musicians Gilberto Gil and Caetano Veloso.
July 27th of 2015, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, legendary Brazilian singers Gilberto Gil and Caetano Veloso, alongside former President of Israel Shimon Peres, gave a press conference.
Tomorrow we're gonna be singing with Caetano, bringing the Brazilian, one of the things that we can give to the world. I think one of the best things we can give to the world, which is our music, the Brazilian music.
I know there were some pressures upon you that you won't come here. They try to press the wrong people. I don't believe that you accept pressure.
Gilberto Gil and Caetano Veloso, two great stars of Brazilian music. Their monumental friendship dates back 50 years. Now they have gotten back on stage for a world tour. One of the announced dates is Tel Aviv on July the 28th.
They are scheduled to perform in apartheid Israel on the 28th of July.
Immediately after the announcement, the BDS movement, advocating for the cultural boycott of Israel, reacts and launches a campaign to push the duo to cancel their show. A petition was published on the internet, protests in some of the world capitals, and its figurehead, former Pink Floyd member Roger Waters, wrote an open letter to the Brazilian duo.
In one of your songs, Gil, you mention Archbishop Desmond Tutu. I do not speak Portuguese, but I assume that you both applaud the strength of Archbishop Tutu's fight against racism and apartheid that ended up being overturned in South Africa. Those were heady days when the world community of artists stood side by side with their brothers and sisters in the oppressed South Africa. We, the musicians, led the uprising at the time in support of Nelson Mandela, the ANC, the oppressed South African people, and all those imprisoned and killed. We are facing an equally significant opportunity now.
The analogy to the case of apartheid South Africa is frequently used in the rhetoric, and it often works. Gilberto Gil, who has repeatedly performed for the Israeli public, quickly replied that he would not cancel the concert, while Caetano Veloso had an open letter published in the national daily O Globo.
As for me, I like to see Israel and Palestine as two sovereign states, and I believe that Israel must listen to the reactions coming from abroad. The United Nations and even governments and many artists like you show Israel the risks of becoming increasingly isolated if they continue with reactionary policies. Sometimes I think that it is counterproductive to isolate Israel, that is, if you are seeking peace. I have many doubts about such a complex subject.
Bud Nelson, an independent Brazilian journalist, stated that this boycott would be symptomatic of a minority fringe of Brazilian society, more to the left of the political spectrum.
Political parties in Brazil, they don't want peace in Middle Orient. They want to erase Israel from the map. They can go to Palestine, to Ramallah, to West Bank, to Gaza, but to Israel, they don't want to listen about that.
The debate spread all over the public square and did not end in the response of Caetano Veloso. Roger Waters responded again to Caetano. Point by point, he tried to dismantle the arguments of Brazil's iconic musician, but in vain. The two musicians did not back out and arrived in the Holy Land.
The BDS movement has been making a pressure for us not to come. We didn't accept to cancel the show, but we, at least me, I believe that even BDS people, they have a point.
In the battle initiated by the BDS, there are only winners. Their cause, widely emphasized in the media, but also the Israeli public gained a victory, thanks to the refusal by the two legends of Brazilian music, Caetano Veloso and Gilberto Gil.
In a moment, we'll hear about some interesting new TV shows, but first, here's our cultural recommendation for today.
25 years of excellence on string instruments. The idea is simple: to bring some of the greatest virtuosos of the violin, viola, and cello, and occasionally offer exceptional master classes to teach a group of carefully selected students with potential of becoming the greatest talents of Israel and the world. This dream come true has a name, Keshet Eilon. Since 1990, Kibbutz Eilon, not far from the Lebanese border, welcomed 75 hand-picked students between ages 16 and 26. And for 3 weeks, they worked tirelessly, taking advantage of the good advice from their teachers. On August 5th, you can enjoy the pleasures of their music in the large gala event at the Tel Aviv Opera.
And now I'm joined in the studio by editor of the Tube magazine, Yaron Tenbrink. Hi,
good
Yaron.
evening.
How are you?
Good.
Let's talk about some television.
Let's talk about.
But make it good this time.
Let's talk about great television.
Great.
Coming
All right.
from completely unexpected sources. You know, there is this golden age of scripted television we're all enjoying.
AMC,
yeah, but then
Showtime.
Then a series comes from USA Networks, which is quite a small network with not such a great track record. They did have some decent series, but nothing like Mr. Robot. Mr. Robot.
I like the name already.
It's a great name. It's a great name. It's the first episode is really astounding. You've never seen anything like that on television.
Bold words.
It's a real anarchistic show. It's about this cyberpunk hacker that discovers a conspiracy of global, huge proportions, and he kind of doubts his sanity, and a great acting role by Rami Malek, an American young actor from Egyptian origin.
Yeah. I don't know. I always find that the on-screen appearances of hacking always doesn't look right.
For the first time on television, it's done right. Even on the tech sites, they're really praising them for having the right the right code on screen, not just some idiocy.
General code appearing footage.
It's a brilliant series. It's full of suspense, and it's very socialist. It has like this socialist agenda. It's very interesting.
Do you have any more great TV, or is that
Unreal coming from?
I know that one. Lifetime, of all places.
Yeah, Lifetime is this very lame channel with
all the Lifetime movies,
sweet television that can kind of make you sick. Based on true stories. And here is a series by Marty Noxon and Sarah Gertrude Shapiro. Sarah Gertrude Shapiro was a producer on The Bachelor. She wrote her memoirs.
And this is
based
on
the
making of The Bachelor, and it's more unreal than anyone could imagine.
Behind the scenes, it's more evil than anyone could imagine.
Let's hope nobody ever makes a behind-the-scene show on our show. Thanks, Yaron. Thank you at home. See you tomorrow.